They're well off. They're not afraid of death. They're blissfully ignorant of passion and old age. They're plagued with no mothers and fathers. They've got no wives or children or lovers to feel strongly about. They're so conditioned that they practically can't help behaving as they ought to behave. This is a quote from Aldous Huxley's dystopian novel, Brave New World, and it depicts the society it constructed. In this book, Huxley introduces readers into a terrifying and realistic world, and it was just so memorable that I wanted to make a separate video just explaining the world without any spoilers. I do have a separate video where I analyze the book and its plot, which you can check out on my channel. The link is in the description. But I got my hands on this book mainly for two reasons. A is that it's a dystopian novel, and I'm always looking for a good dystopian novel. And B is that it was featured on the Rory Gilmore Reading Challenge. And Rory Gilmore is this character from this TV show called Gilmore Girls, and she's a total bookworm. So in every episode, she's seen carrying or reading a different book. And this Brave New World was on the list of books that she was seen reading. So I was like, I have to get my hands on this book. And I did. Brave New World fits into the categories of dystopian, classics, science fiction, and philosophy. It's about a futuristic, perfect society where everyone is happy. The world state exists to maintain social stability by eliminating freedom, deep emotion, and individuality so that no conflict or suffering can ever threaten the functioning of society. They employ lots of science and brainwashing for this elimination. Science is used to produce people and condition them to want and do what they're supposed to, meaning that women don't get pregnant anymore and children are just made in control centers and factories. This also means that there are no families, no dads, mums, no comfort of home or love from family. That one is the most heartbreaking part for me. An insane part about the system was how a small action could dictate one's life. In the book, one of the characters who works in the building that makes babies is distracted while working and fails to properly inoculate an embryo, a mistake that ultimately leads to the death of that same individual 22 years later. The motto, "Everyone belongs to everyone else," is engraved into people's minds. People are conditioned to have many casual relationships and avoid forming deep emotional attachments to just one person. This also means that having multiple lovers at once is not just encouraged, but is forced. As a matter of fact, one of the characters faced criticism for not dating many men simultaneously. Of course, like many dystopian novels with an ordered society, there's a caste system. In this case, it's alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and epsilon, with alphas being the highest. This caste system dictates everything from your job to your preferences. Deltas, part of the lower caste, are given non-intellectual jobs. Nurses lay out flowers and books in front of Delta babies, and when these babies get close to the objects, they're electrified. Over time, babies will learn to dislike books, aka learning, or flowers, aka nature. The hate for nature was conditioned so that Deltas would want to stay in the city. That way, it would prevent Deltas from moving to the countryside and consuming nothing other than transportation, which was bad for the economy. The whole book-hating thing would prevent a thirst for knowledge that would interfere with their passion for non-intellectual jobs. This is just one example of how this society conditions castes according to the designated roles. Now, moving on to religion. As you might have guessed, you can't really see any of today's religions in this world, but there is still a religion that worships Henry Ford, who is the creator of their society. I'm not encouraging this at all, because I think this is really messed up, but I did find it creative how characters said things like, "Thank Ford," and "Ford knows," instead of "Thank God," and "God knows." Because I thought that was just a really creative way of indirectly expressing their religion. Oh, and I can't forget soma. The world state also used this thing called soma, which was a widely distributed, not only legal, but also encouraged drug that made one happier. It was crazy how the police used this to arrest people and solve their problems, because police officers, when they're trying to arrest someone, they would spray soma vapor into the air so that everyone would breathe it in. And by doing so, the police are erasing the emotions behind the people who are getting arrested, and they're controlling them by forced pleasure. And I thought that was crazy because the government isn't just like making people happy and like stuff, but they're also just like manipulating them even in situations when they're getting arrested. So, after listening to this background, do you want to be unfree and happy or have your own thoughts but be unhappy? I'm not going to give any spoilers, but this conflict is like a huge theme in the book. For the record, though, it's not like the whole like entire world changed in this book because some places do still have marriage and pregnancy. Like for example, there's the New Mexico reservation who like still get like who are, like live in conventional ways, but they get frowned on and they're called uncivilized for doing so. The world Huxley constructed was flawless. The beginning of the book was actually a tad challenging to get through because it was introducing this world to us with lots of biological logic as to how this world operates. I found this out while I was researching for this video, so like after I had finished the entire book. But Huxley's life was surrounded by science. His grandfather and his brothers were scientists, and although Aldous Huxley also wanted to pursue a career in the sciences, a disease left him partially blind as an adolescent and blocked him from doing so. And once I knew this, like it all started to click because he wanted to be a scientist, which meant that he had a lot of like knowledge about the sciences, and that like really helped construct this science-heavy world that's depicted in this book. And I feel that his scientific background slash knowledge played a huge role in the authenticity, immersion, and foundation of the world state. I really love dystopian novels because they introduce you to a futuristic world that you think is far from reality. Then, as the plot progresses, they start showing you like faint parallels between today's world and the dystopian world, and that always sends shivers down my spine and really makes one reflect about the flaws of today's society and why those flaws remain unsolved. And I'm gonna dive deeper into like these parallels in my analysis video. I hope this video was interesting and that it encouraged you to read Brave New World or think about the message that Huxley was trying to convey with this background. Have a good one, everyone.